Let's talk some wine now, shall we? Now, this year's wine grape harvest is likely to be smaller than the previous year, but winemakers and viticulturists are promising top quality products. The decrease in volume has been attributed to various challenges, including power cuts and extreme weather conditions, and those constant power interruptions leading to pump failures and disruption in irrigation programs. Let's discuss some more of this now with Etienne Terblanche from VINPRO, and he joins us virtually from Stellenbosch. Etienne, thank you for our time. Talk to us in layman's terms. Many of us laymen loving wine, but only learning as we grow older about what really goes into a good bottle of wine. Is it really a case of quality, not quantity, with the season ahead?
Definitely, Marcel. I think in the end of the day, what you find in a bottle or a packaged wine is a culmination of a whole season, starting in winter through an entire summer and ending in autumn when we actually harvest the wine. So it's always about quality. And if we can match the quantity, then obviously we have a profitable business going.
Now tell us about the season that you're looking forward to and the yield that will go into that. What impact did the weather patterns over the last year or the last 6 months or so have on the coming yield?
So we had a significant impact. I'd like to start in winter because that's when everything starts at pruning. And when the soils are replenished with water. So we had a warmer and a drier winter than the long-term means. So this meant basically that in spring when the grapes start growing, they actually had less water to work with. And this continued through most of the summer until about December, when we had significant rains, which was really positive. By that time, our berry sizes were limited. Now, that in terms of quality is very positive. Smaller berries tend to make more concentrated and flavorsome wines.
We are also, of course, living in the time of climate change, and we are experiencing it in a very real way. I mean, I'm from the Winelands area originally, and I know for a fact that in December I began speaking to my mother, and she says, you know, you're not going to believe it. It's raining here, because we all know, growing up in that part of the world, you don't normally get rain in the Winelands area, in that Helderberg area, in the Stellenbosch Winelands, and so on, in that time of year. But this time around, it was almost a blessing in disguise, because you were dealing with farmers and wine estates who were struggling to keep their irrigation schedules going against the shadow of load shedding. Speak to us about how that all worked out.
So, I mean, the whole idea with farming and agricultural in general is to be able to be reactive to the climate. And as you mentioned, climate change or climate chaos, I think we're past the only limiting it to warming. Definitely results in changes in patterns, weather patterns, rainfall, and we need to be able as wine producers to react. And unfortunately, the load shedding schedule limited the producer's ability to react to warm conditions. You know, we've got about 92,000 hectares of wine grapes in South Africa, distributed over 10 growing regions. So rightly pointing out, in Somerset, West Stellenbosch, we had significant rains in December, but in the Northern Cape, where we were in drought early in the season, in spring, they were having floods and torrential rains. So it's always difficult to generalize, but we need to be able to be reactive, and that allows us to produce a good crop at exceptional quality.
What's the talk in the industry now about the way forward? Obviously, there are the short-term goals. You know, you live by every season as it comes along. But can you talk to me about long-term? I read recently that we're looking at a future where an area, for instance, that's known for Chardonnays? I mean, I think immediately of one of my favorite Chardonnays comes from the Overmere wine estate, and it's up against the hills, and that area is known for really, really good white wines and rosés. But we're looking at a future where, because of climate change, the area is known for Chardonnay, or the area is known for a good red wine, will perhaps change. Is it something that the wine industry is taking very seriously? And how do you go about planning for the long-term impacts of climate change on an industry such as yours?
Yes, I mean, we take it very seriously because we feel it on our backs every day. So we've got two initiatives which are exceptional and I think very unique to our industry. The first one I want to talk about is it's called the TerraClim project. And this project aimed at quantifying, firstly, just the nature of our climate, and especially looking at temperatures. We, as you know, the beautiful mountains in the Western Cape, we have extremely complex topography. And this causes, one farm bordering the next one actually to have a very different microclimate on a smaller scale. So the first one was just actually to try and understand what was going on, and then over time measuring that, and hopefully eventually having a solid prediction in terms of where we're going with the climate. Parallel to this, we have a fantastic project called the Gen Z Vineyard project, and this is exactly to look to different varieties, different rootstocks, different ways of irrigating, different ways of trellising the vineyards to be more adapted to the climate and the changes we are expecting, which the information we constantly receive from this TerraClim project.
And I suppose the industry is already feeling the impact of those changes. If you look at the rise of an area, for instance, of the Swartland, I mean, you're seeing more and more of those wines making it onto our shelves and really shooting out the lights with popularity. So the industry has already shown that it is quite agile in being able to move with the times as well as the climate.
Yes, and I think I also need to take the hat off to our fantastic consumers. I think a lot of consumers are interested in trying new wines, new styles from different areas. So that is really encouraging. So I think we're already on our way, and I think it's always going to be a work in progress. But it's a very exciting time to be in the wine industry. And as far as agricultural crops go, a vine is a very drought-resistant plant. If you think about where it naturally occurs in the Mediterranean basin, compared to many other crops, it uses very little water. So if we can improve that, then we're already in a really good place.
Just very quickly, Etienne, before I let you go, now in a few months' time, or I don't exactly know how many months' time, you'll see a bottle of wine that comes from this crop that we're speaking about now for the 2023 harvest season. And somebody walks into a wine shop or a bottle store and they want a good wine. What did you say to them? Based on the harvest of this year, Etienne says, look out for the Cab, look out for the Syrah, look out for the Chardonnay. What are you telling people to look out for when this harvest hits our shelves?
Yeah, thanks for the confidence in marketing decisions. I think the current vintage, the 2023 vintage, is going to be characterized by very vibrant wines. We had a dry lead up to the season and a cooler harvest period. So I think the wines are going to be really fresh and vibrant. I think my advice to consumers is try something new. Look for regionality. I think a lot of our winemakers are banding together and trying to put out wines that are representative of their region, of their place, of their microclimate. So, maybe you hear of a strange variety like Assyrtiko that you've never heard of before. Try it. It's a drought-resistant variety from Greece.
Fantastic. And we really are blessed over here with some fantastic wines. I've recently become a fan of the Cinsault. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly, but I do know it's very lekker. I'm going to leave it there.
We call it a poor man's Pinot.
Etienne Terblanche is with VINPRO, chatting to us virtually there from Stellenbosch. Thank you so much for your time and for your insight this afternoon.